This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Pop in that tape, adjust your tracking, and sit back because you are listening to Go Home in the Box, your podcast source for deep-cut discussion of genre films. And now, here are your hosts, Chris Jordan and Joel LaPuma.
When I'm a human fly, I spell L-Y. I say blah, and it's just
Talk to me. Come on, talk.
I said talk to me, damn it! All right. Then I'm gonna make you talk. I said talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch, you filthy slut! Did you fuck with me?
A mother gives her son a doll for his birthday, unaware that the doll is possessed by the soul of a serial killer. In Child's Play, 1988 slasher, directed and written by Tom Holland. We've got a lot to say about Child's Play, but let's kick things off with an intro here. I am Chris Jordan, one of your co-hosts, and thank you to Mrs. Jordan for providing the narration over our intro. She's smoking hot. And my co-host, the Ayatollah of pop culture, Joel LaPuma. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm first of all upset that I was not the sexy female voice, and second, upset that you did not mention I was smoking hot as well.
Joel, unfortunately, you are not at the top of my list when I think of smoking hot people.
Yeah, you go suck up to Yoko Ono there.
Oh yeah. She is whatever you call the opposite of smoking hot.
All right, fair enough, poor Yoko.
Yeah. So Joel, Ayatollah, if you will, I've got a confession to make, and this is going to crush a lot of souls out there.
I'm already pretty crushed by the intro, so I don't know what more you can do to me.
Well, this will probably pick you up a little bit, because anytime I go downhill, you know, you're all for it. You're cheering me on. Go further, go further. Well, I've gone a little further, Joel. I've gone into the deep end, and I have re-upped my Netflix subscription.
Boo.
Oh, man. Well, I don't think I'm going to go beyond the 30-day free trial. But I did it all for Lost in Space. I wanted to see Lost in Space, and I was like, hey, it's on Netflix. Hey, there's a 30-day free trial. All right. Bing, bang, boom. I watched Lost in Space. I want my $0 back.
I would expect that. Did they at least have like rebelling vegetables and carrot monsters?
I'll tell you what, this thing, it didn't start off too bad. You know, I want to make one quick note about Lost in Space. I mean, this is the movie that knocked Titanic out of its 15-week run at the top of the box office. So, I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, you had Titanic sitting on top of the box office for, 3 months? Lost in Space comes along and knocks it off the pedestal. You know, it wasn't too bad of a big budget special effects extravaganza in the beginning. You know, you had Matt LeBlanc in the film as Major West, being played by Joey Tribbiani as Major West. I swear, I mean, Matt LeBlanc is almost like he was a slightly upgraded intelligence-wise version of Joey Tribbiani from Friends.
Yeah, movie. I don't think his range is, shall we say, Meryl Streep-ish. Actually, I saw Lost in Space when it came out in theater, partly because I enjoyed the old show, and I was stupid enough to think that it might be like the old show and kind of campy and fun, and it was so fucking bad.
No camp. I mean, I thought it was okay in the beginning. I think it really lost its way when the time travel shit hit us. And what's funny is, near the end of the film, when future Will Robinson, helps save the day, and William Hurt is like, "Come with us," while young Will Robinson is right there next to him. And, future Will Robinson is like, "Don't forget me." But young Will Robinson's right there. He hears this whole thing. Why is he not offended by this? Hey, you prefer your older future version son to me right now? You asshat. Oh my gosh. I mean, the whole time travel business with Lost in Space just... And I didn't much care for the animated CGI monkey, whatever the hell that thing was.
Okay. Now, I'm not really planning to watch the new Lost in Space, but I love the idea of Parker Posey as Dr. Smith.
Yeah.
Because I love Parker Posey, and she can do no wrong.
And I thought Gary Oldman was okay. He was quite the shitbag villain in this movie, but, he wasn't really given a whole lot to do. So this screenplay really sucked shit. Really is what sunk Lost in Space.
Wait, hold on. You got Netflix for the new Lost in Space, right? The series that's going to be coming out?
No, I'm talking about the 1998 remake.
I thought we just digressed. You didn't get it for the new series, the one like Neil Marshall's directing?
No. I made a contract with the devil to sign back up for Netflix for the 1998 remake Lost in Space.
Dude, that's like an Underworld Unleashed when the Joker sold his soul for a box of Cuban cigars. Yeah. There are easier methods.
Yeah. And I'm probably not going to go beyond the 30-day free trial, like I said, because Lost in Space is over, and now I have no more use for Netflix. But anyway,
So, I've been assuming, like, this entire time you were talking about the one that's, like, coming on in, like, less than a month. Like,
you assumed wrong, sir, and you lose points for that.
No, why am I losing points here? I'm really, like, you have no idea how stunned I am right now.
Hey, man, knocked Titanic off the box office king pedestal.
I just thought, like, new Lost in Space by Neil Marshall, guy who directed Dog Soldiers, might be kind of interesting, but I'm not going to go on my way for it, but I could understand why someone would. I'm a little more confused. Hell, did, like, Akiva Goldsman write the 1997, 98, whenever Lost in Space?
Yeah.
I feel like it was some hack like him.
So there you have it. Breaking news. I'm a sellout, and I sell out for all the wrong reasons.
That is a really bad reason.
Some sad news this over the past couple of weeks here, Joel, as we find out that Toys R Us is calling it quits on us and closing at least every American store. Unfortunately, business is not booming, and we can probably point a few fingers. One finger we can point at Toys R Us themselves. The other fingers can be pointed at places like Walmart and Target for stepping on their toes and really taking over the toy distribution market. But of course, Toys R Us, partly to blame themselves for not really doing much about it to try and get people back into their stores.
Well,
and,
I gotta say, there's a bit more to this, and this is coming from a nerdy toy collector.
Yeah.
Toys R Us was the subject of a leveraged buyout in 2005 by Bain Capital and a couple of other similar businesses. Basically, the idea was that they would saddle Toys R Us with their own corporate debt and have the chain slowly work it off, which, it has been done before. It's a pre-vulturous form of capitalism, but it's been done successfully before, and they were expecting, because we are at the tail end of another baby boom, which would have meant like tons of kids buying toys. They were expecting to be able to work that off, but then the recession hit in 2008, and then, of course, Amazon took away a significant chunk of their business, especially where video game sales are concerned.
Right.
I thought there'd always be a market for toy stores, because it's a place, like, if you're stuck driving around with the kids running your errands, it's a place to bring the kids, has sort of a reward and bait for them to be on their best behavior. It's a real shame, because Toys R Us, although they weren't setting the world on fire, and it is sort of a crowded marketplace for anything with Amazon, and of course Walmart and Target being competing big box stores, at least, with significant toy sections.
Yeah.
I don't think, had it not been for the leverage buyout, because literally like $6 billion in debt is a lot to work off for a retail store.
Yeah.
For a retail store that's a specialized store and not, a general Walmart kind of everything goes department big box store. So yeah, it's a shame. And it initially looked like they were going to do Chapter 11 restructuring, but pretty immediately they just decided to liquidate everything. And it's probably to pay off vendors and just get rid of the debt they sell Toys R Us with. But it's obviously a shame, because that's like 3,000 or more jobs being lost, and courts ruled that Toys R Us can still give those big like $14 million severance packages to the executives. Which, first of all, this isn't even Toy Nerd Time. This isn't even the first major toy store Bain Capital has gutted, because they did the same thing to KB Toys about a decade or so ago.
Oh yeah, right. Yes, I remember that.
So both major toy stores I grew up with are dead. Merry Christmas, one and all. I'm just, Chris isn't the one to get political here. I am. I'm just saying, if the children take away all your semi-automatic toys, stunted adults, you'll get no tears from me.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go, may as well grab a gun and join the NRA and whatever. I'm going down that road. No, let's not do that. I got a couple of Toys R Us anecdotes, really, because I've been to the store. Where I grew up, Joel, in my part of Canada, I did not have a Toys R Us. But we always got the TV commercials because, hey, American TV stations in Canada, because Canada only had like 2 channels. And so I did get to see a lot of Toys R Us commercials, and I was like, why can't we have a Toys R Us here? But my first encounter with Toys R Us was as an adult when I moved to the U.S. In my late 20s. And, of course, the Todd McFarlane sports figure line. I bought a few from that, several different collections there, mostly Red Sox. Like I've got a Carlton Fisk in his 1975 Game 6 home run pose, which is awesome. Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz, Jason Varitek, they all line my shelves. They're all retired and no longer playing, so they're outdated now. But
I know some of those names.
Yeah, and one memorable little board game that I bought from there called Break the Safe. Are you familiar with this game, Joel?
Vaguely. I've never played it, but I feel like I recall seeing it before.
Okay, so Break the Safe is a timed game. You've got 30 minutes to run this board. You can play anywhere from 2 to 4 people. The more the merrier, of course. And you're basically trying to escape from the board into the vault. And it's timed for like 30 minutes, and you've got, game cards in there. You've got like guard dogs that can chase you down. it's quite fun, and I'm the kind of personality, you know, I'm chill, I'm cool, I'm laid back, I'm calm, I'm collected. You know, I work well under pressure. You know, 30 minutes to me is like, 30 minutes, this is going to be nothing. I'm just going to lackadaisically roll the dice and, you know, take my time. But when you're that kind of personality and you're playing this game with 2 or 3 other type A personalities, it ceases to be fun, because then you've got them rolling the dice like maniacs, and they're all yelling at you to hurry up and you know, get things moving faster. And I'm like, hey, chill, we still have 5 minutes left on the clock, yo. And but this is Break the Safe Man. It's actually a fun game, and I remember pulling this off the rack in Toys R Us, and probably my fondest memory, man, buying a game that the whole family can enjoy.
I've got a lot of Toys R Us memories. I mean, being a board game nerd and action figure collector and all sorts of, all sorts of stunted hobbies myself. I've spent a lot of time in Toys R Us. I've been on dates to Toys R Us with 2 separate girls, and it worked both times.
Man, you smooth talker, you.
I know. I worked at Toys R Us for a Christmas.
You want to go to the Lego section of Toys R Us?
So, first of all, Central New York, nothing to do here, so that helps. But not the Legos. You go to the Animal Planet stuff, because that stuff is all like crazy and fun.
Oh, okay. I got you. Animal Planet.
Legos are for Finn Balor.
Yeah, you know, the things I hear about Finn Balor, I heard he's single, thin, and neat, and he likes Legos. And not that there's anything wrong with that.
Are you really dude? He dated Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I'm implying quite a bit with that statement.
And he's still less of a nerd than Kenny Omega.
Okay. We're going down the I hate Kenny Omega road.
Oh, we're going down that road.
Yeah, that's for another podcast, Joe.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
We should probably move on. Suffice it to say, there's actually a reason we're talking about Toys R Us, obviously, because it does link up with our first film today.
Yes, it actually does. That's a good point, Joe. Our first film from 1988, Child's Play. Of course, the beginning of the Chucky franchise. And it's actually quite a very good beginning indeed for a franchise that kind of stagnated for a while and then picked up a little bit with some of the later films. But this one is, of course, probably going to go down as the best of the whole franchise. As we mentioned at the top of the show, directed and co-written by Tom Holland, who we've talked about on here before, mainly because he directed the awesome Thinner, which
Are we going down that road now?
Thinner, the movie where we've talked about more about how we have nothing to say about it than anything in the movie itself.
It will not die.
Of course, he also directed the awesome 1985 vampire flick Fright Night, which kind of has another tie because Chris Sarandon, who played Jerry in Fright Night, is the cop, Mike Norris, here in Child's Play. So that ties in. The Whoopi Goldberg film Fatal Beauty, which I've never seen, but I heard it's one of those all-time box office bombs.
Perhaps because it was a film called Fatal Beauty and starred Whoopi Goldberg.
And there was another movie from 1993 called The Temp, which I think tried to start one of those chicks from Twin Peaks, Lara Flynn Boyle. That's right. So Tom Holland, Fright Night and Child's Play are probably his best work.
Well, he's also got a number of writing credits aside from Child's Play and Fright Night, because he wrote The Beast Within, Class of 1984, Michael Winner's film Scream for Help, which is a fairly well regarded little thriller. I haven't seen it yet, but it's made the rounds at a lot of horror fests, and I'm curious to see it because I've heard nothing but good things.
Yep.
Psycho 2 he wrote, so he's got a pretty wide-ranging career. I know he's more or less done a lot of television in the past 10 years. I mean, he directed the adaptation of The Langoliers. Was heavily involved with Tales from the Crypt. Masters of Horror he did some work on. So he's been around. I mean, Child's Play has always been kind of a collaborative effort. Screenplay co-written by Don Mancini and John LaFia, both of whom had a big hand in a lot of the sequels as well.
Yeah, and this is good movie. Just putting it out there. I'm not gonna sum up a review at the end like I normally do, but this is a very good film. Released November 9th, 1988. Not to give too much away, but I was 15 years old when this movie came out. So it was right up my. Yeah, you were too. Oh man, I would have rolled you so easily, man. Stolen your juice box.
Oh,
this thing is
and my Go-Gurt.
Go-Gurt. No, you can keep the Go-Gurt. Thanks, dude. But this a budget of $9 million grossed more than $44 million. So this is why we had sequels, because it was a box office success, and of course it's gained a cult following over time. Obviously. A little bit about the plot, and we'll talk about the cast as we move along with the plot. The movie kicks off with Charles Lee Ray being pursued by cop Mike Norris, the aforementioned Chris Sarandon. Charles Lee Ray, Joel, one of our favorites, played by Brad Dourif. So many things he's been in. You could just start now and rhyming them off, and you'd still be rhyming them off 3 hours later. The guy just keeps himself busy because he's actually a unique talent. But he's more than often than not, he's acquired for his voice work because he's quite a talented voice actor. And but here we get a glimpse of him in the opening of the film, on the run in Chicago. Go figure, Chicago, murder capital of the world. And I tend to believe it when there's a serial killer, on the loose in Chicago, hiding out in toy stores. And so in this
as serial killers so often do.
They do. They hide out in the back somewhere waiting for their opportunity. In this particular case, Charles Lee Ray is he's adept at using voodoo, as we find out, because Detective Mike has shot him and he's injured, he's bleeding, he says he's dying, and he needs to find somebody. We don't know what he means by that until he gets, for some reason, he gets the great idea of grabbing a good guy doll off the shelf and says an incantation, storm clouds loom overhead, thunder, lightning, all that stuff, explosions, and he's gone. He's disappeared. He's dead. But of course we get the ominous close-up of the good guy doll in the box with its lifeless eyes staring into the camera. And we're like, oh shit, I think we know what he did.
It's kind of amazing just how much this opening asks you to accept and how successfully it does that. And partly because it's playing off so many genre tropes, like, there's a killer on the loose, and the tough handsome cop has to track him down, and there's a shootout in a store, and the killer is desperate. And then it just takes a turn you would, if you didn't know the synopsis of the film going in, you would just absolutely not expect. And it's kind of amazing. Maybe just because partly because it's so well shot, and so, like, Brad Dourif has such, like, a crazy energy to him.
Yeah.
And Chris Sarandon is so, like, he's very serious in a non-boring way. I mean, he's very like driven, and everything is just so upfront with what it's doing that in a way that where it's serious, but at the same time it works because it's just so straightforward. It's kind of and straightforward with that level of talent behind it.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing that it just grabs you at the beginning and it's that persuasive. Like a lot of films, a lot of people would have screwed up this material.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this movie is that we see him, he's bleeding to death and he's rambling on about needing to find somebody, and and then his eyes light up when he sees the doll, and we just put two and two together and we realize what he's doing. I mean, he grabs the doll and then here comes the spell that he's chanting, and the thunderclouds and all that stuff. And then as the scene comes to a close and it focuses in on the good guy doll, we know what's going on. We already know. And so with the story kicking in, we get the mom, Karen Barkley, played by I always get her confused with someone else, but she's Catherine Hicks, and she's probably at this point a lot of our '90s kids may know her as the mom from that one TV show. What's that TV show, Joe?
Oh God,
Seventh Heaven. Yes, that's right. And by the way, that show had the worst acting of all time, of any show ever on television. Seventh Heaven, horrible.
Are you referring to anyone specifically, or just the whole?
I'm just referring to all of them. Really.
Because I'm just saying, Catherine Hicks had to pretend for like 11 years or so to be married to a pedophile.
Yeah, I know you were going to talk about Stephen Collins there. Shit, yeah. But
you brought up Seventh Heaven. I mean, Catherine Hicks is probably the only person on that show who I have any like measure of respect for.
Yeah, Seventh Heaven. I think we probably have a lot of '90s kids who listen to the show, so a lot of them probably remember the show for Jessica Biel. I don't, but a lot of those guys do, and of course,
I just remember Seventh Heaven as like that show that all the panty waist like fundamentalist Christian kids I knew watched.
I'm telling you, man, that show was horrible. Just the dialogue. Do people really talk the way they talked on that show? No, I mean, that can't be right. But anyway, we were digressing a little bit. So Catherine Hicks from Seventh Heaven, she's the mom, Karen. She purchases a good guy doll. Her son Andy, played by Alex Vincent. It's his birthday, and she has the gall to buy him some clothes for his birthday. And he's not even grateful, the little shit. And, oh, gee, thanks for the pants, Mom. Where's my toys? And she gets him a good guy doll, like, tool set or some shit like that. He's still pouting because he didn't
There's
get
so
what
much
he wanted.
contempt in your voice, some shit like that.
Yeah, ungrateful little shit. Yeah. It's actually like that, man. If that was my kid, that's how I would talk to him. You ungrateful little shit.
You're a real hard
I spend my life savings on a pair of pants and you don't even care.
You're a real hard case, Chris.
Well, anyway. So Karen finds out that there's a shady peddler with bad teeth out behind her cosmetic store or department store. In this case, she works in the jewelry department, and she finds out he's selling a good guy doll, and he wants to give it to her for $30. And she's all like, "Hell yeah, it's a better deal than those bastards at Walmart." Well, it could have been Toys R Us in 1988. So
yeah, it was. I mean, this would not have been, as weird as it may seem, this would not have been totally beyond the pale in 1988. I mean, it's very evident that this is inspired by the mania for Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty topical film. That kind of kid-centered consumerism.
Yeah.
Was becoming very present in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this was the era cartoons were being made from toy lines rather than merchandise being based on a pre-existing cartoon, that kind of thing. And the fact that Good Guys, it's not just the dolls, there's all sorts of breakfast cereal. I think we see Andy eating at one point.
Oh, shit.
And
there's
the tools.
Yeah, there's like a Pee-wee's Playhouse version of the show on TV with this fucking scary looking giant size fucking good guy just talking to the camera. I'm like, holy fuck.
Oh yeah, it's creepier than Chucky. Honestly.
Exactly, it is.
And Chucky's pretty a pretty compelling screen presence, but holy shit, I'd rather hang out with him than watch that show.
I know.
But yeah, that kind of all in every revenue stream targeted towards children consumerism. It's all present right here. Obviously, it was based on Cabbage Patch Kids, but the Chucky design was actually heavily based on the My Buddy dolls, which are more obscure, partly because they ended as a going concern because of Child's Play. I had friends who had those as a kid, and to a man, every single kid I knew who had one was terrified of the goddamn thing.
I remember the My Buddy commercials, man. I remember the theme song. It was like, My Buddy, My Buddy.
I wouldn't even walk by that aisle in a toy store.
But yeah, of course we probably had some shady back alley dealings for copycat Cabbage Patch dolls back in that day as well. So nothing new there. So Karen buys the shady doll and goes to the trouble of wrapping up in brown paper and gives it to Andy. And of course Andy's thrilled to get his hands on the good guy doll, but he's going to be wishing he didn't very soon. Then we kind of get an idea of what's going to happen. Andy's mom has to work a double shift to cover for someone else, and she gets her friend from work, Maggie, played by Dinah Manoff. And then the only thing I remember Dinah Manoff, she was in one of the Grease. I think she was in the first Grease movie. And then she was in, I believe she had a role in the Golden Girls spin-off sitcom Empty Nest. So I remember her from a couple of things there. But she ends up babysitting Andy that night, and we get a really good shot of a scene where Andy's in the living room playing with his tool set with Chucky nearby, and the news comes on. Talking about the shooting the night before, and we get a really good shot of Chucky's head turns towards the television on its own, and we already kind of knew what was going to happen, but just that quick, head turn to focus on the news story about, Charles Lee Ray was kind of cool. Very good setup.
It's a really nice touch. I mean, so many of these sequences before we get a full view of Chucky moving, by necessity with how they had to do the effects, there's a lot of really clever shots, like POV shots and very sudden, shape moving in the background shots. And the positioning of the camera is always really smartly chosen. It's always either a really low view to get a sense of the angle Chucky's operating at, or it's at the adult's level, and Chucky is just in the background low. I mean, the whole film it's really clever at making you paranoid about what is going on at every angle, because it's constantly shifting these viewpoints, and also it really sort of hits that dichotomy between the perspective that Chucky and Andy both are operating at, and the perspective that the adults are operating at, and how easy it is to ignore one in favor of the other.
Absolutely, I agree, and I really like the build-up here because early on we have scenes of Andy leaning into Chucky as if he's listening to Chucky whispering to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't actually get to hear Chucky speak, but we get the sense that Chucky is speaking to him because after Maggie turns the TV off with the news, Andy comes into Maggie and states that Chucky says he wants to watch the 9 o'clock news. And she's like, yeah, right. And she takes him and Chucky and tucks him in the bed and whatnot. And then, of course, just a few minutes later, Andy's up brushing his teeth, but the TV in the den turns back on, and there's Chucky sitting in the chair watching television. And she thinks Andy's playing a gag on her. So, of course, this leads to the first death scene where Maggie hears some noise in the kitchen and goes to investigate, and she sees the flour or sugar or whatever it is knocked all over the floor. She thinks Andy's being a little shit, because he is. He's a little shit, man. He didn't want clothes for his birthday. So, it's quite conceivable that he could go and knock a canister of flour over. Petulant little child that he is.
I'm really loving how triggered you are.
Anyway, and of course we don't really see the point of view is withheld from us. We just see Maggie turn around and she gets clocked in the head with a hammer, and she stumbles out the window. They're on like a second or third story, and she takes a tumble out the window. I love scenes of people flying out windows, man. It just makes my day when I see a scene in a film of someone jumping out a window. Well, I mean, jumping, screaming and jumping out the window is funny. It worked for me in The Bees, with the guys getting attacked by the bees.
Well, nothing comes close to the bees, except for that one angel dust, after school special from back in the day.
I love that shit. They just freak out and they go, ah, and they just jump out the window. But that didn't happen here. Maggie just fell out the window. She turned around, she got hit in the head with a hammer, and she falls like 5 or 6 stories to her death. Lands on top of a GMC Jimmy or something. I don't know what it was.
But it's a really great conclusion to that sequence. I mean, one of the things that makes this work, like, as big and like broad and playing off almost TV cop show stereotypes as the opening was, like, this, everything is very finite and small and in its own weird way subtle, and then it ends with that bit, and it's all about, like I said, modulating like what heights, what perspectives everything is, and then it just opens up with that fall in a really sort of nightmarish way. It's just a really well crafted sequence.
Yeah, it is. And then, of course, Karen gets home from work and she sees the police are at her place, and she has no idea what's going on. But Andy's safe, and the police are investigating, and Detective Mike is immediately suspicious because he finds footprints in the flour. I'm going to say it's flour. And he asks to check out the bottoms of Andy's shoes to compare, and of course, after the police are shooed out of the place, Andy's getting tucked in bed, and he takes a look at Chucky sitting in the chair in his room, and he notices the flour on the bottom of his shoes, and that's when Andy clues in, and he, of course, he makes his first declaration that Chucky did it, and of course nobody is going to believe that a doll is capable of killing people. This petulant little shit is crazy.
You gotta back off, Andy.
He's a fucking lunatic. I mean that's going through Detective Mike's head. That's not going through my head, dude. That's Detective Mike. He hates Andy.
Blame it on Detective Mike. Blame it on Chucky.
So fast forward to the next scene. It's the next day, and Andy's getting dropped off at daycare by his mom. He waits for her to leave, and then he sneaks the fuck out, and with Chucky in hand. And it's funny because we got this, I don't know, he's in daycare, so he's not in kindergarten yet. So what is he, like 4 years old maybe? And he's in his snowsuit, and He's getting on the subway. He's getting on the L train, all by himself, him and his doll. And he's getting off in the poor neighborhood too. So this can't be good. You know, a 4-year-old white kid running through the poor ghetto neighborhood of Chicago, armed with only a good guy doll. And
it's fine.
Oh yeah, it's fine. No,
that's how I grew up.
He knows where he's going. It's okay. Of course, Chucky manages to sneak off while Andy goes to take a leak, and he goes to find his partner Eddie. Eddie's the guy who deserted him in the beginning of the film, took off on him when he was being chased by the cops, and he vowed revenge on Eddie. And revenge he gets, because he turns the gas stove on in Eddie's apartment, and Eddie, hearing some noise and probably coked out of his mind, shoots his gun off and blows the place up. And of course, Andy's mom, Karen, is called by the police, and it finds out that Andy's been put into a psychiatric hospital. So yeah, the petulant little shit is crazy. You know, everyone thinks so. They put him in the nut house. That leads to, and this leads to probably like one of my favorite scenes in this film. When Karen gets home and she finds the good guy doll, and she finds that the batteries have never been put in him. Chucky is operating without batteries.
It's such an awesome scene. Like I said, like everything is on such a small scale here, like, and it works so well to convince you to take this fairly campy material seriously.
Uh-huh.
I mean, not that there's no sense of humor to this movie, because obviously there is, although it can be a very cynical, very sarcastic, acerbic sense of humor. I mean, partly that's coming from Brad Dourif, and partly that's coming from the satire of King's marketing.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like there's little touches that are satirical, like the batteries, of course, come with the doll, but they're branded good guy with the good guy logo. Like even the batteries have the branding on it.
Yeah.
They couldn't just like get some cheap batteries from some random factory in Hong Kong. They probably are, but by God, you gotta have that good guy sticker on the batteries too.
Oh no, they gotta come with that. You can't go to your local 99-cent only store and buy the El Cheapo AA's for 99 cents. That's what I do. I go to 99-cent only store for all my consumer needs. And so she finds that the batteries are out of the doll, and she starts talking to it. She wants the doll to talk to her. She grabs the doll and she's like, "Talk to me. Come on, talk." And she's getting frustrated. She knows something's up. I mean, this doll, was spouting off its catchphrases like, "Hi, my name is Chucky. Wanna play?" She heard it work, but now the batteries are out, and she's like, "What's up with this thing?" And now she's getting frustrated because the doll won't answer her. And she's like, "All right, I'll make you talk." And she grabs the doll, she lights up her fireplace, and she threatens to put the doll in the fireplace if it doesn't talk. And I guess this works, because the first time we actually hear Chucky talk, and this is going to be par for the course for the rest of the franchise, he's got some profanity-laden exclamations to make, like, and I'm quoting, and he basically says, "You stupid bitch, you filthy slut, I'll teach you to fuck with me." And he starts attacking her, and he bites her on the arm, and this is awesome. I mean, the whole build to this scene, man, like just Chucky whispering in Andy's ear, just the dead silence from his lifeless face when he's sitting in a chair, and then we discover that there's no batteries in the damn thing, and then suddenly he's turning around and he's spewing cuss words, and it was just awesome.
Oh, everything is built so well. I mean, first of all, that one of the things that makes Chucky work as a presence on screen is that ability to go from completely blank to absolutely batshit from 0 to 60 immediately. And partly it's that Brad Dourif's voice has such a sneering quality to it.
And that's exactly what it is. I mean, just a voice has given a full body to this doll.
Like it's such a malicious sound to it. It really works wonderfully. The doll itself is a perfect design anyway, because it's that mixture of creepy, but at the same time, yeah, you could see this being marketed to kids, like in the way that My Buddy and Cabbage Patch were. I mean, you could see it being a knockoff My Buddy doll that you'd actually find at a store. But yeah, Brad Dourif's voice, and the way it built, it's not a film that like threw stuff. Despite the big opening, it's not a film that threw everything out immediately. It makes you want to see more of the doll in action, and then when it gives you all of that once, it's a great shock moment.
Yeah. And I want to give props to the production crew, because physically, once Chucky, so to speak, comes alive, I mean, he's already been alive, but once the movie goes full bore with the idea that this is a fucking killer doll, we've got animatronics working here. We've probably got a couple of scenes of little people in costume, or child actors, whatever the case is. The effects related to Chucky's movements, and especially his facial features, probably another, aside from the atmospheric, the build up and everything to the big reveal that he's alive, it's one of the best things in the movie.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, I mean, credit to the special effects crew. Kevin Yeager, who's a legendary effects guy, was the sort of head designer and executor of the Chucky doll. And it was a combination of animatronics and little people in costume and a lot of camera tricks. That's a huge part of it, of course. There's just a lot of really interestingly intricate decisions being made to bring this to life, and it's a difficult job. It really is, and a lot of credit to the camera crew here. We have on cinematography Bill Butler, who amazing cinematographer and camera guy. All right, so Bill Butler, was second unit photography on The Godfather. He was the cinematographer on The Conversation and Jaws and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That is an insane film, and like all the Rocky sequels, that's just an insane filmography for child's play.
Yeah, this guy's a fucking pro.
This is the guy who came up with so many of the camera rigs for Jaws, like the camera platform that you could do the below the waterline and surface shots.
Yeah.
Like Michael Chapman, who later was the cinematographer on Taxi Driver, was the camera operator, and they were their crew, Butler and Chapman, all their crew, they were the guys who came up with ways to use a handheld camera on the boat to actually work in a way that would compensate for the boat rocking and make it steady. Like, instead of using like an actual steady rig, which was going to be like 400 pounds, like so much of their work made Jaws what it was. And of course, that's a film with absolutely stunning editing, and Child's Play, the editing here is really clever. The shots are so well chosen, and everything they have so much being asked them to make this doll a presence that works on screen. And killer doll ideas were not necessarily new.
They were not.
Twilight Zone.
We had a movie. Yeah, I was going to say we had a movie a year before, in 1987, called Dolls. And then you were going to mention the Twilight Zone episode. You can go ahead.
Oh yeah, we had Twilight Zone episodes and tons of pulpy stories and crappy 80s horror paperbacks. I mean, and the editing here is done by Roy Peterson, Edward Warshilka, and I don't really know too much of their filmographies themselves. Warshilka actually has a pretty long career behind him. I mean, he later did Child's Play 2, by the way, which also had great cinematography, and just, it's amazing the crews they put together for these films. Yeah. But, I mean, for that, he did stuff like Warshilka did stuff like, he did Rambo 3, which is, pretty heavy job, but he did stuff like 16 Candles and Harold and Maude and the Main Event, the Barbra Streisand boxing picture.
Oh, my goodness.
These are not Child's Play level. I mean, granted, Harold and Maude is classic, has a Criterion edition and everything, and there's some really clever, funny editing in it, but it's not a film that has the technical demands of Child's Play.
I have trouble associating a guy with 16 Candles with Rambo 3. Oh, it's
really only working with Molly Ringwald could prepare you for working with a Rambo film.
That's probably why he wanted to blow up so much stuff in Rambo 3. And Molly Ringwald just got under his skin so much. I'll tell you. I'm going a little over the top here, sorry.
I would say Anthony Michael Hall was probably the more annoying presence, but
Anthony Michael Hall probably stole his booze and he just got angry and just wanted to blow up shit. But a little bit of this catch to this story now, because Chucky manages to go visit a guy by the name of John Bishop. This is the guy who taught him, Charles Lee Ray taught him the voodoo that he used to transport himself into the doll. And of course Chucky's told that the longer his soul remains trapped in the doll, the more human he will become as the doll. And Chucky's like, shit, I gotta get out of this body. And of course the snag is that he can only transport himself into the body of the first person that he told his secret to, which of course was Andy. And Chucky's like, shit, I gotta jump into a 6-year-old body. So he offs his voodoo teacher, and he's like, alright, so be it. He's now the catch, which is prevalent throughout several films of the franchise. Chucky is trying to get out of the doll body and into a human body. So now he has double reason to go after Andy. Not just because he's a petulant little shit, but also because he needs his body. And not in a creepy, icky way either. He needs to... I don't know how else to put it into words.
Well, to be fair, the movie plays around with that a little bit. So, Chucky literally says, I've got a date with a 6-year-old boy.
Ew. Ugh.
I mean,
I'll take the crab juice.
It's never really said that anything like weirdly sexual is going on with Chucky as a character. I mean, they don't really tell you much about his history as a serial killer, and his name is obviously a combination of a lot of serial killers and assassins, Manson and James Earl Ray and Lee Harvey Oswald, all those guys. So we're not really clued in on exactly whether he's just like a homicidal or there's something weirdly sexual with him. We don't really know. It's just there seems to be sort of a general homicidal mania with him. Quick thing about that scene where he meets with his old voodoo mentor. It's the first time we get like a full body, just straight on shot of Chucky in motion. When his mentor enters the kitchen, Chucky's standing there on the counter, and Chucky sarcastically said, well, what do you think? Did the gree-gree work? And I've seen Child's Play on 35mm, and that scene is just so fucking good on the big screen. When you see that, it's another thing about changing the perspectives. And first of all, it's the first time we've really seen Chucky at an adult eye level. Yeah. And when we see him full in motion, and it looks great. I mean, obviously, it's a quick scene, like just him like gesturing, but it's a real money shot, obviously. Like, getting that, like, oh shit, look at him. He's really moving. He's a real presence. It's a great like, it's done so well because we've been seeing more and more of him from bits and bits, just building up to this. And on the big screen, it's just this huge, like, opening up of the film. I can't say enough about how great that moment is.
Yeah.
And then, that scene concludes. I mean, of course he murders his old mentor because he's Chucky and he just likes murdering. But, he uses a voodoo doll, and obviously, like, we now believe in voodoo dolls because this shit works in the canon of this film. But, he snaps the limbs, and it's just vicious. I mean, it's a really brutal moment in this movie.
Yeah, it is.
And that, sorry to interrupt, Chris, I just wanted to say that sort of dynamic, that push and pull between what should otherwise be campy but has been built slow and gradually and well enough for us to believe in it, like Chucky.
Yeah.
The sort of goofiness of Chucky and the brutality of what Chucky's doing. It's, that kind of thing has been explored before in horror. I mean, even just a few years before the Nightmare on Elm Street and its sequels, and especially the year before this, Dream Warriors being the more comedic Freddy, and that sort of, imagination run amok, semi-comic, mostly grotesque tone. I mean, Reanimator before this. Like, there's a lot of films in the 80s that played around with this, but Child's Play did it in a way that was particularly sort of sober. Like, it's not as madcap as a lot of those films. It consistently tries to ground you in the real. It has insane and big and campy as all this could have been. It consistently tries to bring you into the tactile reality of the situation, and then when you're sitting there amazed, oh shit, I really believe in Chucky as a presence, then we get that really brutal slaying, and it's just you're laughing, and then you're shocked, and then you're laughing again because it's just, oh my god, this film just was so outrageous, and it didn't have to go over the top in doing that. Right,
and that's what I like about this movie, is that this just could have been an attempt at campy humor throughout, but Chucky is actually, because of the build-up and the vicious style of the killings, this is a serious threat. I mean, yeah, he's a doll, but you don't fuck with this doll. And I mean, this isn't the wisecracking Chucky that comes later on in the franchise. I mean, he cracks a few lines here and there, but this is a serious killer, inside this doll. And that's what I like about the film, is that it actually takes campy material but gives it a somewhat straight and serious tone to it. And I think that that's what really keeps the movie together, is the tone. At this point in the story, though, Joel, of course, Detective Mike was attacked in his car by Chucky after fleeing the Barkley apartment. And so Detective Mike now believes that Chucky is the real killer, and not nutjob dipshit Andy. So we're going to the mental hospital, where Chucky is breaking in to look for Andy. Andy pulls the old trick with the pillows under the bed sheet, and that fools everybody every time.
Oh yeah. Well, and to be fair, I mean, it's like Chucky's at a height where you could see why that would have fooled him initially. Also, we get a great shot of Andy seeing Chucky from outside his, like, wire mesh window. And it's really effective. I mean, Child's Play 2 went further because Alex Vincent was a bit older and more capable then, with putting you in Andy's position of being threatened, which is actually even scarier. But, this is a really effective scene. And Alex Vincent's quite good. In Child's Play 2, he was, I think, exceptional. But again, he was a few years older, and as a kid, even just a couple of years of development is pretty big at that age.
Yeah, and so yeah, like you said, it's pretty effective, and we get Chucky chasing Andy home actually. So things come back to the Barkley apartment. Chucky clocks Andy over the head with a baseball bat, knocks him out, and he starts the ritual for possession. Of course, he's interrupted by Detective Mike and Mom Karen, and we get all sorts of crazy shit going down. This is really the ending of the end scene of the film, the big showdown between Chucky and everybody else. And it's one of those scenes where you should always, people turn their back and think the worst is over and like, thank goodness that's over, and then boom, here comes Chucky again, jumping up. You think he's dead, you think he's gone. Fuck no, he's not dead yet. All he's left with is he's got no legs, he's maybe got one arm, he's burnt to shit, and he's still a threat, man. He's still like, he's got a knife or whatever it is he's got going on, and it just goes to show it's a horror trope. It's the you better check and make sure that the killer is truly dead before you turn your back and take that huge sigh of relief. That's a trope throughout horror. It's always been there. But still, it came as a bit of a shock because everything has been built up so great at this point.
And they really draw it out in here in a sort of meta, almost a very playful way at the very least. I mean, it's one of those things where you can understand when that happens, it has overdone it as it is when it happens in a standard slasher film, because in most of them, the hero generally thinks that what they're dealing with is someone relatively human.
Yeah.
So something that would theoretically kill a normal human being, it's actually a surprise to them that it wouldn't. I mean, here we already have a doll reanimated by voodoo to contain the spirit of a dead serial killer. So you kind of wonder why they're turning their backs. I mean, they don't seem to have learned anything from the movie, really.
Yeah.
And Chucky is, the weird truth about this film that makes it as there are, I mean, a great many things that make this film compelling and persuasive, but the truth is that Chucky actually ended up with kind of a good deal by transferring his body, because no one expects him, no one sees him coming. If he's really like a maniacal serial killer, I mean, obviously you understand why he wants to be human again.
Yeah. And
of course, going into a kid's body is even better because he has entirely new life to live, and no one's going to expect a kid either. But he's in a position where he could just kill and no one's going to see it coming.
Yeah, and he could look forward to once again experiencing that very first taste of cigarettes. Now, that would be one thing if I was to transfer myself into a 6-year-old body. First thing I would want to do, smoke a cig.
When you started smoking at 6 years old.
I'm not a smoker, by the way. I just assume that all smokers feel that way. So sorry to anyone that's trying to kick the habit, man. I mean, but seriously, quit
I'm
smoking.
not a smoker myself. But that's what amazes me about this film. That as many elements are in here. Of course, they are playing around with it. It's a film that doesn't go overboard, but it does have a knowing wink to genre stuff, like drawing at the end with so many he's dead, no he's not fake outs, and to the point where it's funny and almost a little exhausting, like, oh my god, just kill him already. But loading in the opening chase with so many genre tropes, like, I mean, obviously there is an element here where it's playing around with a lot of genre tropes in a really playful way, an appropriately playful way, but it's building it in a way where it's sincere about the material. And it's also very thematically consistent, because one of the interesting things about the idea, and the original title was Blood Brothers, and the idea was, maybe a little more over the top, that the My Buddy doll was going to have like latex skin and fake blood underneath, and if you rip the skin, you could buy My Buddy brand bandages to fix the doll up. And the doll would have been brought to life by like a Blood Brother pack, like kids do in TV shows and movies and things. But the idea is consistent with childhood, because kids imprint themselves on toys. Like, psychologically, like, toys are their avatars to make moral decisions. Or figure out moral decisions, and play around with different identities, different personalities. I mean, so the idea that the doll is doing that back is a fundamentally, like, really interesting inversion of basic child psychology. Not that I'm, like, an expert child psychologist or anything, but just basically what kids do. I mean, that's really interesting, and the fact that they're also making, like, some subtle and satirical criticisms of marketing to kids, because the good guys concept is so bereft of personality. It's so empty inside that the worst part of humanity can just, like, imprint itself on the concept and embody it, and no one notices.
Yeah.
Because it's just so generic and so blank on the outside. It's a very clever criticism of how insidious marketing to kids became in the 80s. And, like I've said, I'm an action figure collector. I'm a toy collector. I think toys are kind of brilliant and magical and fun and goofy. Also, all sorts of whimsical things. But there's always been that sort of unstable, precarious balance between that sort of inherent childhood imagination and the magic that arises from it with corporate elements and the omnipresence of marketing in our lives. I mean, as a kid, playing with, like, Masters of the Universe figures was really compelling to me. And it's still a compelling and clever line, but at the same time, it's the absolute apex of marketing to children and infusing their lives with these franchise dynamics, which is still obviously going on in a much more sophisticated way today. And I'm very resistant towards nostalgia, because you're being nostalgic about something that was sold to you, and the whole thing. There are things I'm nostalgic about that feel a bit more pure, like Calvin and Hobbes or Peanuts, even though, especially with Peanuts, there was ever-present product placement and marketing. I mean, even A Charlie Brown Christmas, the greatest Christmas special of all time, was sponsored by Coke, and the original cut, there are Coke billboards in the animation. Nothing is truly pure, but what amazes me is when people carve out spaces for something really meaningful and really valuable in that corporate space, like Charlie Brown Christmas really was. Yeah. And as a kid, you're carving out really meaningful stuff with these corporate mass-produced figures or dolls or whatever. You're carving out, they're part of your identity, and you're making them into something of your own, but it's coming from a place where it's, obviously entirely profit driven. It's a really fascinating sort of push and pull to me, and Toys R Us embodies that more than anything, which is why we brought it up at the top of this discussion, because Toys R Us, to me, it was a place where as a kid it was pretty magical, but I've got friends who are older who have kids who have described it as a seedy, gross flea market.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but the few times I went in as an adult, I enjoyed it. But that's to each their own. Toys R Us, rest in peace. Chucky, the doll, the good guy doll. not so much. Rest in peace, because he'd be back in further films. And one more quick note about this film. Upon its release, there was a group of protesters that they formed at the main entrance of MGM, like the MGM headquarters, and they wanted a ban on the film because these people thought it would incite violence in children. I gotta call bullshit on that one. We got a film that was it? It had to have been rated R. Is it rated R? I can't find the rating for this film.
It is an R-rated film.
I mean, gosh, Chucky cusses up a storm and there's blood. And I was like, shit. Kids shouldn't be watching this movie anyway. So how can it incite violence in children who aren't even going to be allowed to see it? And then that conjures up an image of me of children everywhere standing up against their parents with their. Let me think for a second, because I'm thinking of that old Saturday Night Live sketch with Dan Aykroyd, the consumer product guy, and Bag of Glass. And
yes. Oh my God.
The kids marching on parents with Bag of Glass and tearing stuffing out of their teddy bear and their Nerf balls hanging out of their mouths and coming after their parents with them. and it just goes downhill from there.
Well, that was a really interesting element of the 80s in general. Obviously there was like the Satanic Panic, the terror of D&D, and heavy metal albums, and a million other things. But the Child's Play protests to me seem very similar to the protests to Silent Night, Deadly Night, in that it seems like it's coming from an actual kind of good place where these parents are sort of reacting fairly in a horrified fashion to this grotesque take on something so heavily associated with childhood. Santa Claus and toy dolls are like immortal childhood like icons, and the idea that someone would take that and turn it into something dangerous and violent and horrific. I don't think they were really worried about kids becoming violent, even though that's what they were saying, because that was just like the language of the 80s. But the idea that it almost seems like they are trying to cordon off a very safe space for these sort of sacred things from childhood, like Santa Claus and toys. Almost like they are trying to keep their kid, provide a place where their kids can be innocent and protected from the world, and that probably still seemed possible in the 80s. But I'm the one here who gets political. Being someone who grew up post-Columbine, or really, just about to be a teenager when Columbine happened, and a teenager when 9/11 happened. What you're seeing now with teenagers doing mass protests of gun violence, these are kids who have grown up with the idea with no safe space, as much as people like to say, oh, these snowflake kids with their safe spaces. Kids who have grown up with the idea that random and senseless violence is always a possibility. And that's just like suburban white kids. It's not even to say kids who have grown up in places with high crime rates, with gang activity. Even in rural spaces now are beset by opioids. Like, you're talking about kids who have grown up with the idea that a mass violent act is totally conceivable and could happen to them. So the idea, it's fascinating to see the way our culture has changed in the 30 years since Child's Play came out, because parents still thought it was possible for kids to be kept safe from the world. And now adults are fighting to keep their guns safe from the children.
Well, I really don't have anything to add to that, Joel, other than, to say these petulant, ungrateful snowflakes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to channel my rage at Andy Barclay here into something else. But
Would you leave Andy? He's not that bad a kid.
Oh man, I just.
He's a kid with a single mom, a dead dad. He just wants a doll. I mean, yeah, he gets a little bratty, but he's at that age. I mean, by like Child's Play 2, he's like the nicest and quite frankly like toughest goddamn kid. Like,
I'm just, of course, I'm harping on it.
I'm gonna bring you to a con, and we're gonna meet Alex Vincent. we're gonna settle this.
Yeah. I'll be the first one to line up for a photo op with him, for sure. With that ends our Child's Play discussion, our Toys R Us tie-in. But we're not done. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, holy shit, do we have a movie for you.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Let's dance in style, let's dance for a while. Heaven can wait, we're only watching the skies. Hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. Are you gonna drop the bomb or not? Let us die young or let us live forever. We don't have the power, but we never say never. Sitting in a sandpit, life is a short trip. The music's for the sad man. Can you imagine when this race is won? Turn our golden faces into the sun. Raising our needles, we're getting in tune. The music's played by the madman. Forever young, I want to be forever young. Do you really want to live forever? Forever, never, forever young. I want to be forever young. Do you really want to live forever?
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, pro wrestling announcer Kevin Kelly here. I want to make sure you are all subscribed to all the great feeds here at Place to Be Nation. It's really easy to do. Just head to iTunes or your preferred podcatcher app today and search and subscribe to the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed, which of course includes the full archives of the Kevin Kelly Show, the Place to Be Nation pod feed, and the Pro Wrestling Only feed. Subscribe, listen, and then rate us and leave feedback today. And be sure to give Justin your true thoughts. I mean, don't hold back. After all, he is kind of a jerk. Just listen to Scott.
Place to Be Nation's JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have a ton of great podcasts available to you on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlayStation.com, and we offer those to you on 3 great feeds. On the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, we bring you the Mothership, the original Place to Be podcast, as well as Main Event, Lucha Afterground, and our monthly pay-per-view reaction shows, as well as the Our Vantage Point podcast and Jeff Learns Wrestling. In addition to these full-length shows, we also deliver quick-hit pod blasts on topics old and new.
Over on the Pro Wrestling Only feed, we dive deep inside the wrestling business with a stacked army of experts leading the way. The feed features potpourri shows such as This Week in Wrestling, Greetings from Allentown, Psychology is Dead, Puro Potpourri, Stacy and Elliot's Bogus Journey, and the Military Industrial Suplex. We also have shows that focus intently on certain topics like Letters from Center Stage, Space City, and NWA Classics On Demand Adventure, Through the Years, Strong Style History, Strong Style Story, and Mount Olympus. Plus, the feed has the full archives of legendary shows like Titans of Wrestling, Where the Big Boys Play, Letters from Kayfabe, and much more. And on our popular Place to Be Nation Pop podcast feed, we offer such great shows as the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, Rank and File, PTBN Dadcast, Go Home in a Box, NBA Team, and Lucha Undead, as well as a veritable podcast heaven for comics fans with the Hard Traveling Fanboys, Sellers Points, Todd Weber's Conversation, Geek and Sassy, and Imaginary Stories podcasts.
You can find all of these current shows plus archives of our past podcasts, including The Kevin Kelly Show, as well by subscribing to all of our feeds on iTunes. And while there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others, available on PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth stretch projects and more. Be sure to support our site by using PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon when shopping online, and download our free PTB Vintage Vault Refresh ebooks via the links on our site. We also want to thank our friends at Bonehead's Wing Bar in West Warwick, Rhode Island, and Fall River, Massachusetts, TheHistoryOfWrestling.com, and Scott Keats' Blog of Doom. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as well. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Yo, Lick!
Shit. Here comes Carl and his goon squad.
What the hell is this? Hey, come here. Look at this thing.
Don't do that.
Who's gonna stop me? Hey, does anybody got a can opener? Hey, don't get out of my face!
Hey, careful, it'll hurt you.
Who, this garbage can?
He can crush you if he wants. He has 3 multi-valve compressors. Tell your friends to leave.
Leave! Get away!
Get on your bikes, now!
Get on your bikes, now! Okay, let go, man.
Here, let go.
I'll get you!
A boy genius moves into a new town with his mom and his robot. Makes friends with the girl next door, who has an abusive father who accidentally kills her. And the boy genius thinks it's just such a terrific idea to bring her back from the dead by putting a microchip in her brain. That's the premise of Deadly Friend from 1986, directed by Wes Craven. Joel, it's based on a novel, a 1985 novel called just basically Friend by Diana Henstell. And I believe you told me that you have a copy of that novel.
I do. I've skimmed through it a bit. It's much different. Well, not entirely, but there are significant differences, if not in plot, but in tone from this. So it's going to be really interesting as we get into this to talk about those differences, because this is a film that underwent significant executive meddling, and I feel like the original tone was closer to the book itself.
Executive meddling. I think that's an understatement in this film's case. Originally, let's talk about it then. So originally the film was rather than have like the horror aspect that we got here, was actually like a sci-fi thriller. There weren't any graphic scenes. There was more of a focus on things like character development and I guess like a darker love story centering around the two main characters.
Well, they got rid of that nonsense character development for graphic scenes.
Yeah.
We're all the better for it.
Yeah, this was supposed to be like an atypical Wes Craven film. He was kind of trying to veer away a little bit from, I guess, his horror background a little bit. The original cut of the film was shown to a test audience brought in by Warner Brothers. And I don't know who was in this test audience exactly, but the audience criticized the fact that there wasn't any graphic, bloody violence or gore that they're used to with Craven's other films.
I'm sure the test audience was just the best and the brightest.
I think it's the 80s, and I'm thinking of a bunch of guys with perms and heavy metal T-shirts and studded wristbands in the audience. Like, dude, what is this shit?
It's like everyone you ever saw in Heavy Metal parking lot. Now, like, it's interesting to talk about Deadly Friend now because in the wake of us talking about Shape of Water and Edward Scissorhands and Creature from the Black Lagoon, Deadly Friend was initially like a very cynical take on that kind of fantastic sort of love story, but in the book it was more an obsession kind of story.
Yeah. Okay.
About obsession and, well, entitlement and possession. Like, there was much more of that in the book than we get here. Obviously, we'll get more into that as we summarize the plot, but
yeah,
one of the big changes is that our main character is a lot darker and more interesting in the book.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no, of course, not having read the book, I wouldn't know that, so that's definitely an interesting point to make, because the character, the teenage science genius, Paul, played by Matthew Laborto. I'll talk about Matthew in just a moment. He gets kind of, I guess, obsessive at the midway point of this film in his drive to, save himself and his friend from the jaws of death. But, I guess as we want to summarize the plot a little bit, let's talk about Matthew Laboratory for a second, because Matthew was probably at this point, this was like his first, I guess, really mark on the big screen. He'd been done a lot of television at this point. He's still, young at this point in his career. He'd done a lot of television, made for TV films, and he was probably best known at this point as that little bastard stepchild of Charles Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie. The adopted son. Actually, he was an adopted son. He was the little bastard adopted son on Little House on the Prairie. And his mom is played by Ann Toomey here. They move into town in a place called Welling. I didn't even bother Googling it because it didn't even give me a state. But anyway,
I had assumed that it was meant to be around Washington. His friend, we see a Redskins poster on his wall, and this would make sense since he's going to a big science university. That it would. I mean, it might not be. I just associate, like, since he's getting into robotics, and even by this point, Washington was starting to become a haven for computer science.
Yeah, you take that Redskins poster down right now. That's offensive. He makes quick friends with the local paper boy, Tom, and he lives next door to a girl named Sam, or Samantha. That's Christy Swanson. She happens to have an abusive, alcoholic father, and Paul comes with a robot named BB. The voice of the robot is Charles Fleischer, who went on to voice Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
And Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So BB has a little bit of a vocal pedigree behind him. And what's your impressions of BB, Joel?
I have a lot of things to say about this. First of all, I mean, Fleischer's voice work is very clever and very charming as BB, and I'm not sure why they went with that. Also, by the way, quick digression, I'm an idiot because the Redskins are based around D.C. and not Washington State. But whatever. I don't know where the college is, but there's a lot of weird tonal things going on in this film. I don't know why BB is, like, all cutesy and charming. I mean, this was the same year Short Circuit came out, and a year after Weird Science came out, so I don't know if they were trying to parody that. And, of course, a year after Back to the Future, which Charles Fleischer, I think, showed up in the sequels. I don't know in particular why, if they were trying to parody that move towards, quirky teen comedy with a science fiction bet. It may be the case that they were trying to do that. Now, something, and this might be reaching a little bit, something I keep feeling about this, one of the interesting things about the movie is that the cinematographer is Philip Lathrop, who at the time was like in his 70s.
Yeah.
And he's best known for, we talked about The Driver way back. He did the cinematography on that. He did Earthquake. He did the Americanization of Emily, The Pink Panther. Very active in the 60s and 70s. There's part of me that thinks that Craven, and I don't know if this is at all intentional, but considering Craven's age, he probably grew up with the terrible Disney comedies of the 60s. Those very high concept things like The Love Bug that, even went into the 70s with like the computer wore tennis shoes.
I was gonna say the computer wore tennis shoes, man.
I mean, there is that element here where before the film takes its more serious turn, there is a definite, with Hathrop's cinematography, which is very desaturated, and Lathrop's colors seem fairly washed out. I mean, it's like night and day when you compare it to Child's Play, which has very heavy, deep, rich colors. There's a very persistent sort of heavy gloom on it, not in a haunted house way, just everything feels very sharp and very, like, vivid. And here everything is sort of, like, not clinically cold, but it is very washed out in the way those 60s films look. And I don't know if it's Lathrop's just, if that's what he was typically, the way he was typically used to shooting and what equipment he was, like, comfortable using. But it feels like we're not in the 1980s. It feels like, even the details of this place, it feels like we're in a 60s town.
Yeah, and I just did a Google search on Welling. We don't know what state this is. I'm just going to assume it's a fictional town because the only Welling that I found in the United States of America is Welling, Oklahoma.
It's probably not that. Let's just assume this is like Wellsville and Pete. It's like, generic 60s suburb, because it does look like we have a cranky old shut-in lady. We have a completely anachronistic motorcycle gang.
Oh, I mean, the population of this town in 2010 was like 771.
We have cops eating sandwiches and just, like, waving away the calls from the crazy old paranoid shut-in lady. I mean, this feels like, it doesn't, like, in Nightmare on Elm Street, it feels like we're in the 1980s. Like, Nancy's got, like, posters of the police on her walls. Like, every teenage girl, for some reason, had a poster of the police on her bedroom wall in 80s movies. Like, it just, the town, it's every town, but at the same time, it feels very specifically 1980s in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
This feels like the 60s.
The idea here, of course, is that with Paul being a genius, he created BB using, a lot of parts from, I'm sure it's the 80s, so they probably came from Radio Shack. But the very opening scene of the film, Paul and his mom have stepped out of their minivan or whatever it is they drive for a bite to eat, and there's a burglar trying to break in. He's almost choked to death by, we don't see it at first, but a big robotic arm comes out and grabs the burglar by the throat. Just pretty much scares the guy off. So we get an idea, of course, that's the robot BB, and we get an idea that BB's kind of very protective of Paul at this point, which, we'll factor in later into the film. But that scene, the opening scene, I believe, was another one of those, reshoots that the suits demanded at the time.
We've got to establish that there's danger here in a film called Deadly Friends.
Exactly. So we immediately get that idea when this robot reaches out and grabs this burglar by the throat and almost crushes his larynx like he's Randy Savage with a ring bell. But But anyway, and of course we get friendship struck up, and Paul is a genius who's taken up a position at a well-renowned technical university, and the paperboy Tom is teaching Bibi how to deliver newspapers and things like that. So we get a really small town feel here, and we meet Elvira, who lives across the street, played by the fantastic Anne Ramsey. In the 80s, if you needed a crotchety old woman in your movie, you called Anne Ramsey. You know Anne Ramsey, yeah, from the Goonies, Throw Mama from the Train, and here she is in Deadly Friend, playing the reclusive, cranky, crotchety neighbor with high-tech security.
Oh, Anne is amazing. Quick plug, by the way, for many of our listeners might be familiar with the YouTube series No Small Parts. The first episode they ever did, actually, was about Anne Ramsey's career. Each episode is about a different character actor, and Anne Ramsey was a great choice because, Anne Ramsey was not going to be a leading lady. There are very specific roles, especially after her throat surgery and her throat cancer, very specific roles that Anne Ramsey was going to play, just based on her look, on her voice. But she is so good at what she does. I mean, just as soon as you see Anne Ramsey in a film where your main characters are teenagers, she's going to make their lives absolute hell.
Yeah, she does so here as well. There's also, and this is, we get a brief glimpse of the local motorcycle gang, I guess, so to speak. This has got to be the pussiest motorcycle gang I've ever seen. But, of course, it gives us another indication that Bibi is, probably has a little bit of a darker side to him, because he grabs the leader, by the nuts and squeezes pretty good until, he backs off and motors away on his dirt bike.
So I was really longing for the motorcycle gang or the car gang from the Wraith there, because I feel like a proper mechanically obsessed motorcycle gang would have been like, oh shit, what kind of tech is in that? Like, watching this thing move, this is just like, the motorcycle gang or the car gang and the Wraith felt like fully realized because they were really interested in technology and mechanical technology.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Like, that felt like it's not just they're like, ne'er-do-wells and delinquents. Like, I could believe a car gang of delinquents in the 80s because they were basically like gearheads, and that was cool and tactile in its way. This is just like, what the hell production of Grease did these kids just come from?
Yeah, it's just hilarious that the way these guys are treated in this story. But then, anyway...
They could have just had, like, jocks and leather jackets or something. It had to be a motorcycle gang.
Yeah, man, they could have been Cobra Kai or something, Shit. But yeah, anyway, we see early on that Paul and Sam and Paperboy Tom and Bibi all become really close friends, and there's a scene where they are playing the worst game of basketball I've ever seen white kids play.
It's a long list.
Yeah, these kids suck at shooting hoops. And of course, Bibi, they decided to give Bibi a crack. And he, of course, flips the ball the other way rather than using trigonometry or whatever to try and figure out the exact angle that it needs to throw the shot at.
What the hell,
he just tosses it over his shoulder. Yeah, like, what the fuck, Bibi? You're smarter than that. And the ball ends up in Elvira's front yard. And when they come over to try and claim it, she's all like, my property, my ball. Go fuck yourselves. And she takes the ball into her house, and these kids are like, what a bitch. And then we get a Halloween, they're all out having fun on Halloween, and Sam comes over with a bloody nose asking for ice, and they know what's up. Paul and his mom know what's up. They know that her dad, and this is a little kind of a darker subtext to this film, considering everything else. This is a more of a serious nature, having an alcoholic, abusive father, with no remorse either, as we see later on, as the story kicks in. But he's clearly leaving bruises on her body. He's blooding her nose. This is a little bit of a serious tone here, Joe.
Yeah, and tonally, this was definitely a major element of the novel, but tonally it just doesn't fit here, like, say, the similar plot in the new version of it with Beverly's father fits in tonally. It's just... And partly it's that the tone is all over the place, partly is that Craven doesn't really seem to know exactly how to do it, like what tone to achieve. You have Christy Swanson being like, no, it's okay, I get nosebleeds all the time, that kind of thing, but it doesn't, you just don't feel it, and it's not me being a college jerk, it's just like, I don't think they went at it so heavy where you could feel it very strongly. It's just mostly I was just wondering, like, Jeannie, Paul's mom, get your ass on the phone and call CPS. Like my mom's a probation officer and a social worker. Like, I don't understand this whole, and it's a very like old fashioned, like, wait, well, it's their family, I don't want to step in. Like, Jesus Christ, get the court, get family court, get the cops on the line, and take in this girl yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't. There isn't really. There's a whole lot of like, well, did this stand
what are you
around
gonna do?
I don't know.
And so the tone there's an absolutely batshit dream sequence. Sam has about her dad coming to attack her.
Yes, that fucking crazy whacked out dream. Yeah, her father is coming to I don't know what he's coming to do, kill her or put the moves on her or some shit. I don't know what's going on there. And
it's never made clear in the dream, but he's like, oh, you can't stop me, and your boyfriend across the way, and his little yellow robot can't. And there's this insane thing where, like, she breaks this glass vase and, like, stabs him with it. And it's a long phallic vase, and blood is squirting out of it onto her. And there's so much, like, weird dreaming imagery to unpack here. And part of me wishes, actually, that this was not her dream, but Paul's, because this seems like, if we're really going to establish that he, like, wants to be the savior in the situation, like having him have this batshit dream because this is how he imagines, living in an abusive house, like, with her, like, I imagine she would have, like, a much more vividly realistic dream, like, maybe one that recounted an actual experience of abuse she had, like, rather than this thing that just goes absolutely off the rails. And I'm not a huge fan of establishing character beats in dreams, but this would be an interestingly skewed way to show how Paul sees things. Yeah. Because, for the most part, like, this genius who's teaching a class, like, in robotics, he's such a normal goober.
Yeah.
And here's where I get into the book a bit. Because in the book, he's actually a bit younger. He's not just socially awkward. Like, Paul's a little socially awkward here, but it's mostly around Sam. Which, by the way, he plays very well. Like, it's like that, like, I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to blurt something out real quick, overly enthusiastic, because I'm just trying to be, like, likable and fun. Like, that is, like, a lot of, like, normal high school kids with crushes. That is totally well done. Yep. But that's how a normal kid reacts. In the book, first of all, his nickname's Piggy, which obviously tells you he's fat. He's a bit younger. He's got tons of problems. He's not going to, like, he's not like a superstar. Everyone knows he's a genius, but he's so maladjusted that he's not, like, in the position Paul is here, where, he's got colleges vying for him because he's so far into the genius realm. I mean, it strains credibility to me a bit that he's that far into the genius realm, but he's so well adjusted, especially being in a single parent home. Like, not that that's going to automatically assume maladjusted. It's just like, for the amount of time he spends on building his own robot and everything, you'd expect him to be much less socially adjusted than he is. He makes friends pretty easily, actually, and he's comfortable public speaking. Like, there's nothing... I feel like that's got to be part of the studio leveling this movie out, is that, like, you know, they want, like, an everyman. You know, he's very, like, in that sort of Michael J. Fox, John Cusack realm where, he's a little bit quirky, but he's just like you.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And that undersells so much of the rest of the movie. Like, his level of genius and the poor obsessive decisions he makes, it never really establishes why he would go to those lanes. Like, even like a film that in its own way is kind of similar to this, Reanimator, like, even the more adjusted character in that, Dan, we had that early scene of him trying to save a dying patient, and like, even as a med student, he's like going further than the doctors who are training him want him to go, because he's just that intense and driven and about saving lives. So his poor decisions have a background. Like, you understand how bent he is towards making things better in an unhealthy way. We don't get that with Paula here. He just seems like a normal kid until he starts making bad decisions.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Kids make stupid decisions every day.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they're not impulsive, stupid kid decisions. Like, he's actually the one who doesn't want to do the impulsive, stupid kid decisions, like, you know, break into Elvira's, like, yard on Halloween night.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And that's what we were about to get into, is that part of the plot where I guess it's Halloween night, and Paperboy Tom wants to play a prank on old Elvira, and he wants to use BB to crack the lock on the gate, which BB does. And of course, this leads to Elvira's security system getting set off, and she comes out to the porch with her shotgun and sees BB, and she shoots the ever-loving shit out of BB, breaking old Paul's heart, and as he watches his creation explode right there in Elvira's front yard. And that's just the first piece of bad news that he's going to receive.
By the way, so much credit to Anne Ramsey because she notices them hiding in the bushes and she gives them the most malicious smile, like, yeah, I just did that, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
She's awesome.
She is. Yeah, you stupid little bastards. Yeah. So we get Thanksgiving. Sam has Thanksgiving dinner with Paul and his mom, and that's where Sam and Paul share their first kiss there in the backyard. And she has a tendency to cover her ass by saying that she's going out studying, so she doesn't want to make her dad suspicious that anything's going on, which there is, but she wants to cover that up. And she gets home, and her dad is drunk and pissed, and he attacks her, and she falls down a flight of stairs, and she hits her head, and she's carted off to the hospital. And of course, before that, we get Paul and his mom running out to see what happened. They're loading up Sam into the ambulance, and her dad is out there, and he basically puts the blame on her. Says that if she'd cleaned up her stuff, she wouldn't have fallen down the stairs. Not very remorseful is the dad at all, really. So she's put on life support in the hospital. They try to do surgery on her brain, try to save her, but they can't. This, of course, this upsets Paul, and he comes up with the brilliant idea to try and save her life. And of course, BB's been blown to pieces but he still has BB's microchip brain, and he can. He believes he can make it interface with her human brain to try and revive her. So Paul incorporates Tom into his plans to hijack her body out of the hospital. She's of course, he believes that the plug is going to be pulled at 10 o'clock sharp. But then, of course, he finds out through his mom that they're actually going to pull the plug at 9 o'clock sharp. That damn daylight savings time did that.
No.
And he's like, oh shit, it's 8:30. I better drug my mom. They're sitting around drinking. Is she having like coffee at like 8:30 at night?
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. I mean, listen, we've all drugged our moms to get control of the TV so we can watch Raw.
Shit. Oh, I have not. I have not stooped so low, but
well, yeah,
I mean,
the
thing about it is that Paul has this packet of stuff. You know, we don't know what it is, and his mom's back is turned in the kitchen, and the bag rattles, man. I mean, he's got something in his hand; he can hear it, and he dumps the whole thing, and of course, he's not sure how much is enough, and of course, Paul's mom conks out on the couch, and the adventure begins. They steal the van, and they drive off to the hospital where and it's funny because Sam's dad is there with the doctors, and he's all like, well, why don't y'all pull the plug already? And the doctor's like, oh, it's not 9 o'clock yet. Which, I struck me as oddly comical. Dad can't wait to get the plug. Well, I guess he just wants to go back home to his booze or whatever, his football. I'm assuming that the abusive alcoholic dad watches football, by the way.
I think he was watching boxing in one scene when he was asleep on the couch.
It was sports, regardless.
Sports.
Yeah. And and of course, Genius Paul has a plan to turn off all the power in the hospital.
At this point, we're saying genius sarcastically, by the way.
Yeah, he's a fucking genius. And see, he hijacks the body, and Tom is all hesitant now, and he finds out that Sam is dead. He's like, he wants nothing to do with it, and it kind of puts a little bit of strain on the friendship there between Paul and Tom, because now Tom is like, what are you fucking getting me into, genius? I
have to say that one of my favorite scenes in this film actually is like they've done all this. It's the next morning. Tom's leaving, and Paul's like very awkwardly like, so thank you, I'll see you around. Like he's really trying to feel out the situation with Tom, and Tom's just trying to get away. Like he is done with this guy.
This is just between us, right?
Like it's such an awkward scene in a good way. Like it works so well because like it.
Oh,
see, that's why I'm surprised they went so normal with Paul, because when you want the normal goober, like Tom's right there.
Yeah, poor Tom. But
he's so out of his depth here, and like that scene works so well because it's every like awkward end of friendship conversation, except like the surrounding context is so weird.
Yeah, and the thing is another thing about that real quick is that when they get back early in the morning, of course, Mom is still conked out on the couch. It's been hours later, and the kids think that she's dead because he gave her too much of the sleeping powder or whatever it was. And I was like, at first I was like, damn genius, man. His robot blows up, he loses his girlfriend, and now his mom is dead. But she's not dead. She wakes up. But yeah, that whole scene with the goodbye scene between the two was like, I won't be calling you to play video games or anything like that, dude. Then comes the part of the movie. I think it really starts to go off the rails a little bit here. Sam is revived. He keeps her in the shed and back. And I guess I don't know. Sam looks more like an 80s goth kid than she does a cadaver with a microchip in her brain. With the black eye makeup and in the pale skin. So I don't know.
Yeah, but she's still dressed all normal and tomboyish.
I don't know, it's kind of looked like she wants to go to the Bajas concert, but she doesn't know how to dress for it. I don't know. But anyway, so Sam is... So she revives, and Paul rather, is trying to find a way to, keep it a secret, keep it hidden from everybody. One of the first things that Sam does is she goes over to her house and she confronts her abusive, alcoholic, jerk-ass of a father. And what does she do with him, Joel? I think she throws him in the furnace.
Yeah. Oh, she holds him against the furnace and snaps his neck and throws him in the furnace, which is awesome. I should point out, like, the earlier scene where her dad accidentally kills her, we get a very oddly horror movie moment where she's at the top of the stairs, like, Dad, are you here? And, like, his hand shoots out from,
from the doorway. That's right. He jumps out. We get a little bit of a jump scare. He jumps out at her and confronts her.
And I sort of get why that's done because, Craven keeps using this to point out that, like, as weird as this all is, like, none of this would have happened if the adults weren't so monstrous towards these kids. And, that's an understandable premise because that's consistent with a lot of, like, kid-based horror. And these are, older than, say, the kids from It. But it's not it fits. But at the same time, Craven, I don't know whether it's because the material got cut down so much or if he just didn't know how to do it properly. Like, it has shades of, like, the dad is over the top. It's kind of like the mom, the alcoholic mom in Nightmare on Elm Street, but that was done much better. Partly because you had Ronnie Blakely and she did well with it, and because you had that contrast because John Saxon was both a loving parent but totally did not, like, you could tell he had issues, like, knowing how to express it properly. So you had the more intense, like, parental dysfunction with the more down-to-earth, like, everyday parental dysfunction.
Yeah.
So, but here you have, like, intense, like, crazy abusive contrasted with, like, loving oblivious mother, and it all feels so broad.
Yeah. So then after Sam kills her dad, Paul finds out and he hides the body, the genius that he is, and takes her back to his house and locks her in his bedroom. I want to note that at this point, Sam is, she's got the microchip in her brain, and she kind of sounds like BB. The BB voice comes out of her here and there, but Christy Swanson, she had to be trained in the robotic movements by mime. Gosh, what's the guy's name? Richmond Shepard. And well, for the most part, it's okay. I mean, there's a few scenes where her head movements are pretty. They look quite convincing. There's a point later in the film towards the end where she does a slow-mo robot run towards the camera that has to be the worst piece of thing I've ever seen. In regards to the look on her face while she's doing it, but it's really kind of funny that to imitate robotic movements. She had a mime coach, show her how to do this stuff.
Unfortunately, the art of mimery did not cover everything, but there's stuff here she does exceptionally well. Like whenever he's trying to explain something to her, and she's got that really just completely uncomprehending look on her face. It's very affecting and very sad because it has an element of a confused pet being abandoned.
Yeah.
there's an element of that, like, you know, he's trying to like get her to stay in a room, and he's closing the door slowly, and she's moving her head to see out the door. That's like what a dog who just wants your affection would do. And I'm not sure if that was coming from Craven or the mime, or if that was Christie herself, but that was all really well done. I think the robotic movements were somewhat less so. I feel like if she had just moved in a kind of stilted but not obviously robotic way, that would have worked better. I think they went too far with it.
They went full robot. You're never supposed to go full robot.
Oh god. And you know, that's the story of this film, going full robot. Like, they never seem to figure out how to modulate the tone or the character decisions. I mean, one of the things is that, like, we don't get a lot of time to adapt to each change in the screenplay, which really bothers me. Like, BB gets destroyed. Yeah, we get Paul's immediate reaction, but later on, when he's recruiting Tom to like help him get Sam's body, he's like, "You owe me. You said BB getting blown up was your fault." Like, where was the awkward like argument on the street scene where that happened? That would have been great to like, and then like Paul getting really sullen over the course of it, and like, you know, maybe Sam like at Thanksgiving dinner like tries to bring him out of his like mood a little bit, just more character interplay, stuff like that, because we really don't get much of that. And like, you know, when Sam is like in undead robot mode, like, this is where I want things, and things do get weird, but they get weird just for Sam, pretty much, just on her initiative. Like, I want at this point Paul to get really weird, like, because in the book he's sort of like he's very unhinged. He's not really connected to reality. Like, you know, I want like a weird, confusing, awkward, cringy scene where he's trying to like bring the old Sam out, like before the murders happen and everything, where he like, you know, even maybe tries to like make out with her because you remember when we kissed, like, and it gets just super weird and uncomfortable for the entire audience. Yeah. Like, just evidence that, oh shit, Paul is totally broken. Yeah. Like, more of that, because we just get him being like, a normal person doesn't steal a dead body. I shouldn't have to say that.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Like, even if it's for science or out of grief, like, it seems like just grief is the impetus. I mean, grief leads people to do all sorts of like destructive things. It leads people like drink and drive, or like just like bayonettes. Like, but that's all within the realm of normal human possibility. Like, grief leads you to have a fight with your significant other, or, you know, get upset and yell at a cashier, whatever. Like, it does. Generally, you don't steal bodies. Or maybe I don't know what you do, Chris.
Oh, I don't just steal dead bodies. No, I'm just joking. I'm not going anywhere near that. But well, you know,
next week is necromantic,
and necromantic too.
Yeah.
But we're building to the greatest scene ever filmed.
This is legit. This is the reason to watch the film.
Yes.
Like, more than anything.
Yes. So Sam manages to get out of Paul's bedroom and make her way across the street to Elvira's house. And we get the requisite. It's kind of like a tropey scene where Elvira's in her house and she hears weird noises and she doesn't know what's going on.
I'd like to point out that she's watching The Bad Seed.
Yeah, she's watching The Bad Seed, and
I would have loved to see her watching The Bad Seed earlier, like this obsessive shut-in just watches The Bad Seed 24/7.
Yeah, and then The Bad Seed gets quite a bit of playtime in this scene.
They intercut it with the sequence a lot. I don't know why.
I don't know. It's a weird choice by Craven, but I guess he really just likes The Bad Seed, and he just wanted to give it some props, you know. But we get the tropey scene of Elvira walking around her house trying to investigate where the noises are coming from, and the basketball is bounced across her floor, and she turns around, and there's Sam with the basketball in her hand. And basically, what happens next? You can YouTube it if you want, because...
Scanners happens next.
Yes. Sam fires the basketball at Elvira's head at like 300 miles per hour, and her head just totally fucking explodes in slow-mo and everything. It's awesome.
It is amazing.
It is awesome. And then we get the headless corpse just prancing around the room, spraying blood everywhere, and finally tumbling down to the ground. But this basketball kill scene, I shit you not, I enjoyed this. This is probably greater than anything Jason Voorhees ever pulled off. I mean, I'm going to rank this higher than Sleeping Bag Kill, man. I mean, I had to go back. I watched this one part like 3 or 4 times in a row, and was just blown away by it. This almost nearly made the movie for me.
This is the only example of executive meddling in this film that worked.
Yeah.
Because if it got us this scene, like, totally worth it.
Yeah, totally worth it indeed.
It's just, oh my god. I can just imagine, like, because you were saying you hadn't seen the film since, like, literally the 80s, and I just wish I had been there to watch you watch this scene and see your jaw drop at this.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I would have hit rewind on the VCR, buddy. For sure. Of course, now everyone's finding out what's going on. Paperboy Tom learns what's going on. He and Paul get into a fight. Tom wants to call the police and end everything. And then, I guess at that point, Sam has returned to Paul's bedroom. She hears the argument down outside in the front yard. And another great scene is just Sam throwing herself out of the attic window or wherever she's coming from, given the requisite which I enjoyed before every window jumping scene. And she just leaps out of that window and down on the ground. She just grabs Tom and rams his poor head into the ground like she's trying to do the 10-count turnbuckle head ramming pose, and it's just awesome. And then Sam runs off, and she's being pursued by the police. We get the final encounter with the leader of the motorcycle gang.
The final encounter implies there was more than one before, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is just the only second time he's been in the movie. He just shows up out of nowhere, man. And I mean, hey, remember me? I'm the guy who had his balls gripped by the robot earlier and drove off like a pussy. And here he is. He's Sam grabs him and she throws him through the windshield of a police car, killing him. And sad motorcycle gang. And basically we get the final showdown with the police, and Paul trying to struggle with the police to try and prevent them from shooting her, and we get the slow-mo the slow-mo robot run to the camera scene that I made fun of earlier, because really it's one of the more ridiculous looking things in the movie. That's where the movie should have ended. But alas, it did not. Joel, we got to talk about the final scene.
It is bad. It is so bad.
I was enjoying the movie for what it was up until this point. I mean, it's like, holy fuck, man! I had a head exploding with a basketball thrown at it. I had a scene of someone throwing themselves through a window. This is the greatest movie ever. And then we get the final scene. We get Sam's on a slab in the morgue, and Paul shows up. Genius Paul. He wants to save her again. I mean, what the fuck, man? You just went through like 2 or 3 people getting murdered in totally brutal fashion, and his friendship with Paperboy Tom deteriorated. He drugged his mom. This guy wants to do it all over again. And, of course, what happens, Joel? Sam wakes up. And I swear, this is the weirdest out of nowhere fucking ending I've ever seen. Sam's skin starts to tear away, and we get a voice saying, "Come with me, Paul." And I mean, the skin tears away, and it's fucking BB, angry face BB at that, coming out from the skin and snapping Paul's neck off camera, of course. And that's where the movie ends. It's like, what the fuck happened there? And I'm pretty sure that was an ending that was not requested, but demanded by the studio executives. Because it absolutely makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
No, I mean, like, had it just been her arm shooting up and snapping his neck or something, all right, I can buy it because, like, you know, it's just like, but the idea that BB somehow, like, reconstituted itself within her when, like, only really the computer chip and circuitry was put in, it doesn't make any sense, and it's stupid and now, if I could spoil the book for everyone here, and, you know, fair warning, because the book actually has a fantastically dark ending. So pretty much things proceed as we've talked about, like, you know, Robot Sam gets destroyed, but Paul, who, mind you, is younger than Paul in here, goes to a bridge and thinks, I quote, "So this is what love comes to," and jumps in. That is the end of the book. Like, that is dark. And I'm not saying I'm not some edgelord who thinks everything needs to be dark, but this had you know, there's a lot of stories in all of Western literature, really, following that sort of Pygmalion and Galatea archetype. You know, a man falling in love with something that's not a woman, that's not actually human, that's a sculpture, a robot, you know, like an automaton, Tales of Hoffman. Those stories are frequent, and it's an interesting archetype because there's a lot of, like, very romantic yearning in it, and there's a lot of sort of male entitlement in it, if you want to get all, like, Tumblr about it. And this, like, and the book itself was proceeding from that, like, that sort of very male possession, male entitlement thing. And you can see those elements even in this. I mean, there's a possessive, abusive father who, you know, is at least beating her, probably sexually abusive. I mean, at the same time, jealously guarding her, you know, innocence from, like, all the boys in town. They even like, you know, we even get a quick conversation about that between Paul and Tom when after Paul's first met Sam. And, you know, she's so tomboyish, and you feel like that's a purposeful choice because she doesn't want to set off her dad's alarms. And also, that's not to get, like, too dark and realistic, but that's actually common with female abuse victims, making themselves appear more masculine to try to be less attractive to the people who are abusing them.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of you know, Pygmalion story. Yeah, there's a lot of male entitlement and male, like, projection in it. And this story, the novel friend, and, you know, interestingly written by a woman, so it's a woman's modernized take on that kind of archetype, really was a criticism of male possessiveness. And this movie had the potential to be that. I'm not saying it absolutely had to be, but we've got, and as much as I enjoy this film, we've got a real clash of different tones that never seems to work together.
Yeah. No, that's it. I agree.
And like I was saying, there's a lot of scenes where, like, we have to take a lot of Paul's character arc on faith, because a lot of those scenes that explain his progression to these big and destructive decisions are left out. And it's entirely possible, since they've never authorized, like, a full director's cut, and it's Warner, so they probably don't care. Like, there's not enough money in it to care. And, you know, Craven's gone, so there's no one to really fight for it anymore. Right. You know, that kind of like, those scenes may have been in the original cut. We don't really know. I don't know if, like, the original script's online or anything like that. Sometimes it is in these cases, but usually, like, if you find a script, it's like a shooting script or something. So I don't know what the original content was. That stuff may have been here. It may have been pushed more in that direction. That character arc, that progression may have been clearer. Here, unfortunately, it's really not.
Yeah, and we talk about some of that studio meddling. Of course, Wes Craven, and he had Bruce Joel Rubin come in for screenwriting. The original, like we said at the top, the original intent was for it to be like a sci-fi thriller with a dark love story. It failed at to please people at a test screening, and Warner wanted to jump in and make changes, saying that it needed more violence and gore, like in Craven's other movies. Yeah.
Craven wanted to not be Wes Craven anymore, and the studio wanted him to be Wes Craven. And we should mention a little bit about Bruce Joel Rubin, who I think is perfectly capable of doing everything the original story in the novel required, because his two best-known films probably that he wrote were Jacob's Ladder and Ghost.
Yep.
And he won the Academy Award for writing Ghost. So both the elements, that dark romance and the sort of complicated psychological projection, those are in those two screenplays, like, separately. So I have no doubt he could have, like, combined those two elements in this one film, and maybe did in the original in the original script. I don't know.
And the guy that most people point fingers at for all these changes was, at the time, the Warner executive vice president, Mark Canton. He wanted Rubin to write in several more gore scenes into the script, each bloodier than the last, was the quote, after all the negative reactions from the test audience. It was re-edited in post-production, and the more graphic deaths and other reshot scenes were included. And, of course, as we've already noted, making the final film appear tonally jumbled. And yeah, you can see that those strange shifts in tone throughout the movie. Yeah, and
I was just go on.
No, go ahead, man. Finish your thought.
I was just going to say, in terms of trying to hold this thing together, I really want to give some credit to the musical score by Charles Bernstein, who scored Nightmare on Elm Street. Did that sort of classic Freddy score, and especially in the, like, down to earth, like, romantic and teenage scenes here, he's got a very sort of melancholy minor key score with just a little bit of foreboding in it, and it really brings those the tones together really well. And unfortunately, it's like the only thing that brings the tones together well.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a prime example of how studio meddling can really affect the output of a piece of work like this. I mean, and like you said, we've got so many deleted and cut scenes that, this film has a cult following, and they're demanding a release of the original director's cut. And like you said, Warner probably doesn't see a whole lot of money in it because it's Deadly Friend, and it was not really a box office success. And who's going to go buy this?
Yeah, and it's not it's obviously not a film where, like, Wes Craven's not there to really fight for that anymore. So without Craven there, it's not like, you can theoretically see them doing it if, like, TCM or the AFI was doing, like, a Wes Craven thing, or if Wes Craven had, like, a big new movie coming out, maybe around when Scream 4 came out, they would have considered it, but it's just not the case. It's just not the case anymore.
It grossed just about $9 million just in the U.S. alone at the box office, against an $11 million budget. So it failed to even make the budget, failed to break even. Some of the responses to it AllMovie, the website AllMovie, gave it a pretty negative review, stating, "It's an intriguing combination of elements, but the end result is a schizoid mess." And called Craven's direction awkward, and that it lacks the intense, sustained atmosphere of his previous horror hits, which I can agree with somewhat on that. And, of course, our friends over at Rotten Tomatoes have given it a 0. And, but, you know, people love it anyway. It does have a cult following, and for the most part, it's, like I was saying earlier, I found it enjoyable, even though it's not the movie that it was intended to be. What I saw on the screen, although awkward and strangely cut at times, I enjoyed it for what it was until that horribly fucking shitty ending, which just ruined it for me. And so, my own personal recommendation is go find the basketball kill scene on YouTube and then forget the rest.
I mean, I think it's worth a watch for Wes Craven completeness, because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. It's just, it doesn't come together, and it's being undercut constantly. If you really want to be frustrated, it's a film to watch. But you know, I'm kind of addicted to being frustrated by films myself. I'm not going to say it's not worth a watch. I mean, obviously, if you're uninterested, the basketball kill is a necessity, and it's all over YouTube, so go for it.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts on Deadly Friend, Joel, that you haven't hit on already?
I think I've hit on the bit.
Yeah, as we try to sew this thing up here.
Yeah, I think we've had the big stuff. I mean, today we went with, you know, in a sort of a broader sense, films about projection and imprinting, like, if I have to be all like highfalutin about it, like films about like a person interacting with something that is, you know, an automaton, a simulacrum of a person, and you know, that's such a fertile field. That's usually central to science fiction, and Deadly Friend obviously has a big sci-fi element, but I'm always interested in how horror takes advantage of that. And Child's Play, of course, does it incredibly well in a really interesting way that's both small and like social at the same time, cultural. And Deadly Friend goes for very personal, but just doesn't get there, probably largely due to the changes they made in it.
Yeah. Okay.
But like I was thinking about this because I just watched The Boy from 2016, which is absolutely terrible. Like just barely anything redeeming about it whatsoever. And I was thinking about that film in terms of these two because it's another film about like projection onto a seemingly inanimate object, which is always interesting in a horror film, and it just like, oh my god, it's just so bad. And quite frankly, I couldn't tell if the doll or Lauren Cohen was more inanimate.
Well, then if you were disappointed by The Boy, then I suggest you go out and find yourself a copy of Mannequin 2 on the Move. Maybe you'll
find a copy. Do I have to show you my bookshelves? It's all Mannequin 2 over here.
He's got the Mannequin 2 manga, which would be awesome.
It goes to some weird places.
All right.
Wait, what year did Mannequin? Mannequin came out just a year after Deadly Friend, too.
Yeah.
What was with the 80s and like Pygmalion stories?
I don't know, man. All I remember is the big starship hit song from that movie. Nothing's gonna stop us now.
There was probably like a trying on hacks scene, right? It's an 80s comedy.
Oh yeah, sure it was. So that wraps up our discussion on Deadly Friend. We're going to take a few minutes. We've got some new retro releases coming out this week. The week of March the 20th, in fact, is delivery date for most of these. Retro releases, of course, we like to talk about movies from the past, like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you name it, whatever, that are getting the re-release treatment from some great companies out there. I want to just touch base on a few of them. Shout Factory has several of them, actually. The first one from 1990 is Rockula, which I haven't had the pleasure of seeing, and it's a horror comedy musical mix, so I imagine it's something that I'll probably end up skipping.
I mean, if you want a early film version of Dance of the Vampires, this seems like a good option for you. It does have Dean Cameron.
Oh, Dean Cameron, what is he not in?
and it's actually directed. First of all, it's got like Thomas Dolby, Tony Basil, and somehow Bo Diddley is in this.
Oh my goodness!
And it's from the man who gave us the Ghoulies, Luca Berco. I'm probably butchering this. Bercovici.
Bercovici, yeah. Yeah. So Rockula gets a release from Shout Factory.
It's got Bo Diddley. That's what I can say for it.
Bo knows Bo. Remember the Bo Jackson, Bo Diddley commercials from the 90s, man? Remember when Bo Jackson was a thing?
No.
You do not. I do. Here's a better one from Shout Factory. The collector's edition of 1989's The Burbs. This is a personal favorite of mine. This is, if you ask me, this is peak Tom Hanks right here. This is, like I said, when we were talking about Big, I think, on one of the last shows. This is Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks was he was really hitting his stride here, but I really miss Tom Hanks, delving into comedy like The Burbs, some off the wall shit like this. Rather than what he's become now. I know he's a grizzled old man now, in reality, but he doesn't have to play one on screen. And,
I personally think it was all downhill after Bosom Buddies, but I mean, this is a pretty great. I haven't seen this in years, but it's a pretty great Joe Dante comedy. Amazing cast. I mean, aside from Tom is somehow married to Carrie Fisher, although I can't imagine Carrie Fisher putting up with him for more than 5 minutes. But of course, Dick Miller shows up because it's a Joe Dante film. Bruce Dern is hilarious in this.
Uh-huh.
Hell, even Wendy Shaw's in this. Francine from American Dad.
Yeah. So I mean, it's got a good cast, and they both have great comedic timing. I mean, we've got
Gail Gordon from I Love Lucy,
and Rick Ducommun, the late Rick Ducommun has a pretty funny role in this movie as Tom Hanks' best buddy, and this is just a great film. I know it's probably been seen by a lot of people, but this is a collector's edition, which means you need to go get it. The other Shout Factory release from 1988, a lesser-known film, much lesser-known film, Nightmare at Noon.
You take it back. That's a classic.
Yeah, it also has an alternate title, Death Street USA. I love that title.
Why didn't they? I mean, Nightmare at Noon is okay, but Death Street USA is that's high level.
I mean, that sounds like you're expecting Chuck Norris or something, But yeah, basically the premise of Nightmare at Noon is a scientist poisoning the water supply of a small town and turns the residents into homicidal maniacs who kill each other and anybody who passes through. So we kind of got the Crazies. George Romero's The Crazies here, kind of a similar theme here. We've got Wings Hauser, Bo Hopkins, George Kennedy, Brian James, the great Brian James, an unheralded B-movie character actor, Brian James. So there's some big names in this movie, and this is probably I can catch this on Amazon Prime because this is one of their offerings on there, and I'm probably going to check it out.
I've been meaning to see, it's directed by Nico Masterakis, and I've been meaning to get into his filmography for a long time. I mean, I like Bo Hopkins. I'm a huge George Kennedy fan, and also we should point out that's got Kimberly Beck, the final girl Trish Jarvis from Friday the 13th 4 in it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I skipped that part. But yeah, definitely. I think this is an interesting little forgotten curio to check out, and good on Shout Factory for digging into the barrel for this one.
If it's got George Kennedy, I'm there.
Yeah. Scorpion Releasing are putting out The Church from 1989. I haven't seen The Church. Joel?
I have. I'm not a big fan of it. It's definitely got some nice stylistic touches. It's kind of it's Michelle Sovi, who we talked about The Sect, which got a release fairly recently. I mean, his most famous is Cemetery Man, Della Morte, Della More. And this is when he was really developing his own style. So if you're into especially Cemetery Man, this is a great stop along the way to see his style develop. And there's some really great, the Sect's great. There's some really great shots, but it's a fairly unsatisfying film. Like, it's kind of a Demons film, but it doesn't really go as crazy as that could be, because at the same time it wants to be sort of a slow build, like Argento-ish film, and it doesn't really succeed at that either.
Yeah, definitely. So it's one of those. It's got a cult following. It's not wholly remembered from the era, which is like 89, 90. But I guess if you're a fan of that era, this is one that people still talk about. So, The Church from Scorpion Releasing.
I think at that point, Italian horror was so denuded that, like, any new film that was at least, like, decently interesting or stylish probably got oversold. Because it was definitely, I think, by this point, Bava had died. Fulci was still around, but sort of fading, although, Cat in the Brain would come a few years after this. Argento was kind of fading. And
this would be, as the horror genre in general was kind of on life support, because a lot of key franchises were coming to an end, like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, and there wasn't anything, interesting to really take its place until Scream kind of revived the horror genre a little bit there.
Yeah, it was slim pickings around this time, so a lot of people probably were just happy they were getting something even mildly diverting.
Code Red, another good distributor, putting out Offerings from 1989. The premise of this is 10 years after he was pushed down a well, this guy who kills off the neighborhood bullies who tormented him, and he gives their body parts as gifts to the one girl who was nice to him.
Later he went on to do a horror podcast.
His name? Joe LaPuma.
Well, my life, a lot of twists and turns there, Chris.
They're still twisting and turning as we speak. What about Twilight Time? Here we go. We don't like Twilight Time. They really do some shoddy work on the films that they do release, but they're releasing a limited edition of 1973's The 7-Ups, and this is a great film. We've talked about The 7-Ups before, especially in our talk about chase scenes in films, because this is an all-time great chase scene in this movie, starring Roy Scheider. Joel, who's Roy Scheider?
The all-time great Roy Scheider.
Oh man, wait, is he the guy from Jaws? Wait, Jaws? What's Jaws? These are things that millennials are asking right now, Joel. Who is Roy Scheider? What is Jaws?
I'm sure the millennials know about Roy Scheider. Or maybe, I don't know. But Roy Scheider is the man who I spent like 5 years of childhood telling people was my real dad. And his 7-Ups is one of his greatest moments. In a long and genuinely, prodigious career. I mean, Roy starred and co-starred in a lot of classic films. The 7-Ups is just an awesome crime and car chase film.
If you're a fan of those gritty, inner city police, films from like the 70s, like The French Connection. Seven Ups is in that same vein. Just a great movie. And like I said, one of the all-time great chase scenes from that movie are in here. And check it out. Maybe don't buy it from Twilight Time.
Yeah. But for a bit of background, Twilight Time does unnecessarily limited releases of big films. And they release a lot of Woody Allen stuff, and they're pretty blasé about the fact that they released Woody Allen stuff. Now, I will say that there is a Region B Blu-ray of the 7-Ups. So if you have an all-region player like I do, just buy it like I plan to.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't recommend the 7-Ups highly enough on this show.
Yeah, it's an amazing film.
Yeah. We got I think there's other couple of releases you want to hit on real quick there, Joe.
Yeah, from Warner Classics, a Warner Archive Blu-ray of The Black Scorpion from 1957, kind of a well-known, giant killer insect film. I don't know about what the quality of the Blu-ray is going to be. Warner Archives loves doing a lot of burn-on-demand stuff, so that's probably going to be the case here. But it's worth seeing because the effects are done by Willis O'Brien, who did work on The Lost World in 25, King Kong, and Mighty Joe Young, the original Mighty Joe Young, which he actually won the Academy Award for. And Black Scorpion's got a weird pedigree in that it's pretty well, I'm not sure how confirmed this is, but it's pretty well accepted that a couple of the models used in this film are supposedly from the Lost Spider sequence in the original King Kong.
Oh, okay.
So there's some dispute about that, but it's entirely possible that some of those effects were saved and reused for this. Again, I don't think they're ever going to be able to really, without a doubt, confirm it, especially because they'll probably never find the original Spider Pit sequence. But, just the fact that this is coming from the guy who did King Kong's effects. I mean, it's late in the game, and I'm sure special effects had sort of gone beyond what he had done in his career. But it's nice to see, it's nice to see O'Brien still working at this point and putting out stuff that, even though was somewhat low budget, was still of high quality.
All right, very good. So yeah, and I guess we've got another one too, Joe.
We do, and this is probably the big one for me this week, aside from the 7-Ups. We have from Wellgo USA. The remastered edition, which has been making its rounds in art house cinemas, of Ichi the Killer.
Ichi the Killer, yes, sir.
Which is one of the great all-time hyper-violence films. It's the original cut. The original cut, 128 minutes. Takashi Miike is an exceptional filmmaker, and this is an exceptional and strange and disturbing and incredible film. I mean, it's a modern classic. It's a 4K restoration. I already have this on Blu-ray, but listen, there's nothing in heaven and earth that's going to convince me not to rebuy it because I'm just that stupid.
Oh, Joel, you're not stupid.
It's a great film, and probably most of our listeners have seen it or at least have familiarity with its reputation, but it's worth every moment you can spare for it.
Absolutely. Very well-known film. Much appreciated on this release. Well, Joel, I guess that wraps up another episode of Go Home in a Box. This was episode 36, found right here on the Place to Be Nation Pop Network. Thank you for listening. Until next time, remember, don't be a petulant little shit. If your mom buys you pants for your birthday, you wear those bad boys and you be grateful for it.
And maybe you put some safety pins in them to seem cool.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
tears I cry aren't tears of pain. They're only to hide my guilt and shame. I forgive you, now I ask the same of you. While we were apart, I was human too.